Hi, welcome back to CineMunn Podcast. I'm your host, Vince Munn, joined tonight by Benjamin Briggs.
Good evening, everybody.
Tonight we got a couple topics to go over, plus a movie quote of the day, and wanting to get your thoughts on a new show that we want to do. First topic of the day is the weekend box office. Ben, what did you find for the numbers of weekend box office? What was number one?
Number one was actually The Hobbit, Battle of the Five Armies, still hanging number one at $21,910,000.
Jeez.
Want to take a stab at number two?
I want to say Into the Woods.
Correct.
Wow, that was
Number
a guess.
two, Into the Woods at $19,066,000. Number three, we got Unbroken at $18,358,000. And now, number four, we have a newcomer to the list. You want to take a stab at what that might be?
Is this the new Woman in Black?
Yes!
Horror sequel?
It is! Women in Black Part 2 at $15,145,000. Go for number five. Think of anything else that's on the list?
I'm trying to think what else is out right now. Annie?
Annie has actually dropped down to number 6, down from number 5 at $11,400,000.
I give up on number 5.
Number 5, actually, it jumped a spot. It's the Night at the Museum sequel to the Tomb.
Right.
Last week, it's come down to number 5. It's at $14,450,000.
I think that kind of tells you where it stands in my viewing desire. If I keep forgetting it's even out.
That's all right.
It kind of hurts.
Yeah. Number 7, up from number 8, it's The Imitation Game at $8,111,000. Number 9? Number 9.
Oh, we're number 8 now.
No, number 8. Yes, right, sorry.
Yeah.
See, the problem is I put last week's and this week's in the wrong order, so
you jumbled yourself. Nice.
No, number 8.
We're professionals, people.
Yeah. So, all those years at Harvard. Number 8. I'm not really from Harvard, I'm sorry. I didn't even go to college, actually.
Now you're from America, are you?
No, not really. From around these parts, you can say.
California, what's that?
I want to know where you guys actually think I'm from. If you want to leave it in the comments. Find out where I'm really from. You win yourself a prize.
Where is Benjamin Briggs from? What are we going to win?
No one knows. Like Carmen San Diego, man. Anyway, sorry.
We are in San Diego. There's probably at least 10 Carmens living within this area.
Spoiler alert. Number 8 was The Hunger Games. Actually dropped from number 6. Went down 2 spots at $7,700,000. Number 9 is actually The Gambler. $6,300,000. And coming back into the top 10, which actually makes me kind of happy, is Big Hero 6 up from
Nice.
at $4,816,000. So just took Wild out of the spot there. Wild was actually number 11, so they just flipped spots this time around.
That's pretty good.
Yep. So we got The Hobbit, Into the Woods, Unbroken, Woman in Black 2, Night at the Museum, Annie, Imitation Game, Hunger Games, Mockingjay Part 1, The Gambler, and Big Hero 6 for your top 10 of the week of January 2nd. The January 4th.
Any of those you're looking forward to seeing?
I'm actually going next week to go see The Hobbit. On sometime I'm going to try for Wednesday. Nice. And I would really like to go see Imitation Game and Big Hero 6 as well. I think both those films, I've heard nothing but fun stuff about those.
Yeah, Imitation Game is one that I've been wanting to see. I know it's been talked about as a big Oscar contender for Cumberbatch for Best Actor for his portrayal of Alan Turing. Again, it's a smaller film. Excuse me. Smaller kind of indie release film. Kind of like Foxcatcher and Nightcrawler, which is gaining some momentum as we get up towards awards season. I think we'll really start to see that one pop up there a lot on people's lists. They already have, really. But I think it'll get more public awareness for these films as the Oscar season comes forward. And I'm really excited to finally get to that night. We are planning on doing a live broadcast for the Oscar show. We will watch the Oscars with you and do our comments throughout during commercial breaks, during the show, what we think of the host. I know Neil Patrick Harris is hosting this year. I believe it's been confirmed, which I'm really excited for. The man's one of the best hosts, the Emmys, the Tonys. So why not the Oscars? It's like the top of the crown for hosting duties. So I'm really excited for that night. I hope you are too, and I hope you'll join us for our Oscar watch during that live broadcast. And we'll give you more information about that night, when it is, what time, and when our show will be available right after the Oscars. So if you DVR it, you can watch it again with us, comment anything on the show, and that'll be awesome. Recently, Sylvester Stallone, I believe, took to his Twitter account and announced the title of the latest and hopefully last Rambo film. He announced the title Rambo Final Blood?
Last Blood.
Last Blood. Same thing. I'm hoping that means the last film in the series. Not that I haven't enjoyed it. Obviously, if you've seen First Blood, if you've seen Rambo First Blood Part 2, even the one he did 7 years ago, Rambo, it's like the fourth one where he's in like Vietnam, older. That actually was a really good film. It's very straightforward, very graphic, very, kind of dark even. So I'm hoping that means this is the last film. No information really is released about it as far as where they're going, if they're going to go back to that small town from the first film, or who's going to come back aside from Stallone to the cast, or even an announcement of the cast itself. Ben, what are your thoughts on Rambo Last Blood?
Well, I've grown up with Stallone, like you say, in the Rocky films, in, Rambo and his action flicks, and, I think it's time to kind of let it go. I don't want no Frozen parodies or anything like that, but, we've seen him in all three of these Expendables, he is getting up there, he is pushing, he's all around...
He's getting closer to 70.
60s, 70s?
He's in his 60s right now.
He was in his late 60s when they did the Expendables, I think. Mm-hmm. And don't get me wrong, I mean, he looks the part. He's still jacked, he's still got that rough demeanor about him.
I think he's gotten even more buff than he was, I think, with First Blood or with Rocky. I think in Rambo 2, he's most jacked, and he's kind of gotten right back to that.
Oh yeah,
physically. I mean, he's got a very low body fat, and the man's huge.
Yeah, guy trains pretty hard.
Bullet to the head, escape plan. You see him, just big, just walking muscle with with a slur, kind of to the way he talks. So yeah, and it's kind of fun to see these older actors who are pushing, their almost golden years. I don't want to say golden years, because I don't think he's that old. But they're pushing their physical boundaries to say I'm still relevant,
right?
In film, in this industry. And the nice thing with the Stallone films nowadays, he still wants to keep that classic late 70s, early 80s feel of practical effects, real stunts, give you that kind of nostalgic feeling in a modern age film. And he really did that with the last film, John Rambo, or simply Rambo. I think it was meant to be called John Rambo. Yeah. So he really kind of kept that feel back to it, which is really cool. So I'm kind of hoping whatever the storyline is for this one, for Last Blood, that they kind of keep that to it. The whole practical effects, real stunts, real explosions, things like that. I think that will give it one last good hurrah, and hopefully that means he is done with the character.
Right. But see, it raises an interesting point, like you said, about these actors who, we know them from, Schwarzenegger, Lundgren, pretty much the entire cast of Expendables. We know them in those big action hero roles. It was Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson in the Pumping Iron behind the scenes, who talks about when Arnold came on the scene. That was like the epitome of what an action hero was. Mm. But now that these guys are starting to, get older and stuff, who's the next generation of action heroes that we look forward to? You have The Rock, obviously, who's still a very, big chiseled guy with Hercules and all the films he's done. Chris Pratt got himself into shape. I know Ryan Reynolds for Green Lantern, he got trimmed, and I even believe Paul Rudd for, Ant-Man.
Yeah, he went on a crazy diet for Ant-Man, yeah.
So are we looking at a more, for lack of better words, common kind of looking action hero that's more of like the average guy? Yeah, like, more lean, more cut, not these huge hulking guys that we used to.
I mean, we still kind of get those huge hulking guys, like people like The Rock, or Vin Diesel has kind of established himself. Yeah. I mean, mainly his career started as an action guy with like Triple X, with Fast and Furious and things like that. Riddick obviously is an action sci-fi franchise. It's all his, and he loves that. That's like his baby, really. And the Riddick series is awesome. If you haven't seen it, please watch it. It's just fun. Good sci-fi. That being said, I mean, even now we're getting newer guys more guys from wrestling, like Dave Bautista has had his breakout now in Guardians of the Galaxy, and now he has a Bond film coming up, and he's another big jacked guy who is about the practical, about the real, and I think the neat thing with when you get people like Dwayne Johnson and Dave Bautista, is they have that background of live performance and doing it for real in front of a real audience, that they kind of bring that, I think, to film, and therefore have that sense of realism, like, I want to do the real thing in camera. Like, I don't want to have it cut and then the stuntman or the CG, I want it to be me as much as possible. I know with Hercules, for The Rock, when he's pulling on the pillars, he had them actually chain him to the pillars, and he was pulling and pulling. Like, I think he passed out after every take.
Like that,
he was jacking so hard, and it's like crazy. But that's the extent that some of these guys go to for these roles, and even Arnold for his early work like Conan and the Terminator. You know, they do all this great stuff and makeup effects and physical stunts and pyrotechnic work, and it just makes you wonder what happened to that with some films, because, you know, obviously in certain areas there is the whole physical hazard. Not to demean it, but, you know, you don't want anything to happen to anyone in film. Tragedy in film is awful, like Brandon Lee when he died for The Crow. You don't want things like that happening in film for a stunt. No life is worth a film. But you do want to have that sense of realism from an actor. You buy it. I think it's more expected even now with some guys like Dwayne Johnson and Vin Diesel, that we expect it to be the spectacle in camera. We expect it to look as real as possible, because that's what they bring to the role and to the character and to the film. That's kind of, you know, they grew up on that, so you want to see that. You want to do it yourself as that person.
Very true.
So, speaking of Ant-Man, Marvel Studios has stated that they will be releasing the first teaser trailer for the film Ant-Man, directed by Peyton Reed, coming out July 15th, 2015. We are a little over 7 months away from the release date. They're going to release the trailer this Tuesday, December... What is this Tuesday?
It should be the... let's see, today's the 4th, 5th, 6th.
December 6th, during the premiere of Agent Carter, the show on ABC Network, whatever your local listing is for that. During that show, they will release the first teaser trailer for Ant-Man. Now, more than likely, this is pure speculation on my part, I think they're going to debut it that morning online. I think Marvel will release it online, on their website and on IMDb, on YouTube and such. I think we'll probably find it there. We'll get to see it on TV, on a full-size TV, that night during Agent Carter. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. I know Ant-Man has gone through a lot of development issues with Marvel Studios, obviously with the departure mid-last year of Edgar Wright leaving the film, and them scrambling to get a new director in to finish the script, because they did have a set release date. They had a set schedule for it that they were not going to deter from. In fact, they even bumped up the film from the original November release to July. So they bumped it up about 4 months from where they originally planned to have it. And it led to a lot of speculation, a lot of issues. Is this going to be Marvel Studios' first bomb? Is this going to be their biggest flop of a film? Is it going to be the one that sticks out the most? And I know a lot of people were kind of really, really defensive about Edgar Wright leaving the film, that Marvel Studios shouldn't have let him go. You know, it's Edgar Wright, and he's done Scott Pilgrim, he did the Corretto trilogy, and, you know, let him do what he wants. But if you really step back and look at the history, obviously he had been developing that film with Marvel before they became Marvel Studios, before they had ever established themselves as a big business production company. And his idea for a film at the time was what they wanted to go for. Unfortunately, it went through so much development hell, because he went off and did other work as well, like Scott Pilgrim, like Hot Fuzz, and The End of the World, or The World's End, sorry, that by the time they came back to it again, they had established the Marvel Universe through Iron Man, Incredible Hulk, Thor, the Avengers, all that had then established the world, the look, and the feel of it, and unfortunately his film didn't fit in there, the film that he had planned and written for them. And most people say, well, they should still make it because it's Edgar Wright, and they should just make it. But you gotta have the feeling that it stays.
Yeah.
It has to fit in with, you know, you gotta blend with the family. For a while, I was kind of speculative on Ant-Man and what it could be, because the premise, you know, is a guy who can shrink in stature but increase in strength. You know, it's kind of ridiculous. It sounds ridiculous on paper and even in thought, but I mean, we believe now that there's a Norse god who can come down and wield a hammer and kick ass, and there's a super soldier from the 40s who can kick ass. So why not a guy shrink down in size and kick your ass?
That's right, man.
So, what are your thoughts, Ben, on Ant-Man, on seeing the trailer? And what do you think overall of the film? What do you think it's going to do?
I saw the leaked version, not the leaked version, the Comic-Con version.
Oh, the test footage.
Yeah, I saw that. It's, I tried to do a lot of digging, and it's the only one I could find. It looks fun. To me, I get to see him shrink down and, run along the barrel of the gun and pop the guy in the mouth. I think it's going to be something new that we haven't necessarily seen before. And I think it's going to be... I love his mask. It looks really not quite steampunky, not quite, sci-fi. It's somewhere right in the middle, like really industrial looking. Mm. It looks neat. I think a lot of people are going to want to cosplay as it once they, get a feel for the film, see what's going on. It looks like a fun, Paul Rudd, I'm interested to see what he can do in kind of that superhero movie. We saw him. We've seen him in serious stuff. We've seen him in
a lot of comedies. A lot of comedies under his belt.
Yeah. Oh, excuse me.
You're good.
We get Haley Atwell from Agent Carter from the Captain America films. She's a wonderful actress as well. I think it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be great. And for anybody who's worried about it being Marvel's flop and everything, you got to go into it with an open mind. You got to go in having fun. And this is a little different. It's not like everything we've seen. Yeah. The only thing I can kind of compare it to is the only superhero I remember back is in DC. I think it's DC's The Atom.
Yeah.
He's
kind of a parallel to The Atom. Yeah.
He's the only guy but nothing really from what I've ever read or seen has really gone with his character. He was just in he was in the early Justice League, wasn't he?
He's been part of the Justice League. If you read books like Identity Crisis. Or I think like Crisis on Infinite Earths, he's Atom is part of that. Dr. Ray Palmer is part of that canon, and again a guy who can shrink down to literally the size of an atom and get in and out, travel through wires, into fibers, things like that. It's a really neat concept, especially if you step back and look at it from the scientific point of view, which I think Marvel is going to kind of take.
Absolutely,
and make it look we're going to try to base it as much as we can in plausible science. Obviously, there will be the element of fantasy to it because, again, folks, this is a comic book film. I don't want realism. I want to suspend my belief, my disbelief, and go into my world of escapism in a film. That's I think the point of a lot of film, majority of film, is escapism.
Absolutely.
To leave what we know and go somewhere else and let our imagination thrive and run wild and Superman. We believe a man can fly.
That's right.
Things like that. So, like you were saying, see Paul Rudd, see what he can do with this. It's neat to see him finally be a kind of name right under the title, first one on the marquee. Yeah. Paul Rudd in Ant-Man, or is Ant-Man. I think it will be really cool. I think it's going to be the second break. I mean, he's had a big break. He's a known actor. He's a recognizable face. You see him in a lot of work, a lot of comedy. But to say Paul Rudd, action star.
Absolutely.
And he's got the good looks.'s got the charm. He is a very good dramatic actor, and I think he'll kind of pull a Chris Pratt to where people just thought he was kind of the goofy guy who has a lot more depth to him as an actor, and will really show you something new that you haven't seen out of them.
That's exactly what I was going to say too. I hope I think it is going to be just like you say, like with Chris Pratt, and I hope a lot of people aren't going to downplay it because it is Paul Rudd, like you say, because he does all these comedies, because he does it. It's Paul Rudd, haha, funny guy, whatever. That's what I'm really hoping, like you say, people go into it like, all right, this is going to be something new, this is going to be something fantastic, and like you say, I hope he gets the break that Chris Pratt does. Chris Guardians of the Galaxy, and now Jurassic World. I hope it really spurs him on when he
picks up those doors even more. Just gives him much more. Selling availability. Here's his whole resume. He's done all this great work, and he's been a lead in a Marvel film, which right now is a thing people want. People want to be in these movies. You have Al Pacino banging on Marvel's door. I want to be in a film. Find a role for me to be in these movies. People want to be in this. You got well-respected actors. Michael Douglas in Ant-Man as the original Ant-Man. Hank Pym as a person I would never expect to see in one of these movies. Same with Robert Redford in Captain America: The Winter Soldier. I would never expect to see an actor of that caliber, of that legacy, that Hollywood legacy, not just within the last year, 20, 30 years, but of all time, is a well-respected name, to see them in a quote-unquote comic book film, or even sometimes people look at them as kids' films or just fun films.
Yeah.
It's a comic book. We don't take that crap seriously, but some of us do, to an extent. Some of us do. We take it. We take it. It means something to us, and I think they recognize that either in themselves or maybe in their family, maybe to their kids or their grandkids. It means something to them, and that's why they take these parts to say, you know what, this means something to my child or my grandchild, and if I can give them personalize even more, why not? And that to me is the great thing about it, and it makes people want to see it. And Marvel has basically established themselves now as they can do anything.
That's right.
They made you believe Iron Man, they made you believe Captain America, they brought a bunch of big name characters together in one film and made it work. They did something completely as obscure as Guardians of the Galaxy, which no one's read. Oh, come on, you haven't read it. If you have, you're one of the few, the proud. Join the Marines. So, to say, okay, now we're going to do Ant-Man 2 and run with it, and you're going to buy it, and you're going to want to see it. Okay, you sold me on Guardians, which I had no clue what that was. I actually have more understanding of Ant-Man than I did of Guardians, and I love Guardians. So Ant-Man, I can only imagine what they're going to do with this film. And as they progress forward, afterwards, with Black Panther, with Captain America Civil War, with Doctor Strange, which will be another one I'm even more excited about. I can't wait to talk about Doctor Strange in the coming months as we get more information on that film before it releases. Obviously, the big piece was Benedict Cumberbatch being cast, and we've talked about that before. So we'll get back to that one in a few months. I can't wait to talk about it. But yes, Ant-Man trailer, Tuesday night, on ABC. Check your local listings during the premiere of Agent Carter. And we will be back Wednesday on our Wednesday podcast to really dissect the trailer. We're going to watch it over. And we might watch it several times during the show as we broadcast to you to really give our thoughts, to really take it scene by scene, frame by frame, line by line. And I hope they show a lot of cool 60s stuff. Because I know parts of it are going to be like 60s into modern. Because I think they're going to go back and forth, which I think it worked in Captain America for me.
Yeah,
I think it can work in this as well. Okay, Ben, what are our other topics for the night?
Let's see, we've covered the Ant-Man trailer, we got the weekend box office.
What's a box office?
I don't know. It's where they make all them robots, like iRobot with Will Smith. Just kidding.
Man.
What?
That movie could have been really good. I liked it, and then they went all kind of insectoid on it with all the robots.
Hey, if they can put a lovely product placement like Converse in there, I wouldn't buy a pair after I saw the movie. So
it's Stevie Wonder.
What?
Yeah, like at the beginning when he's getting ready for work and whatnot, and taking a shower and putting the new Converse on, they're playing Stevie Wonder.
Yeah, there you go. Which is also in my CD collection as well.
Anywho.
But the last thing we have is our movie quote of the day.
Yes. Folks, on pretty much every show, I think, except for our Hobbit review, which we did a couple weeks back, we do a movie quote of the day. Basically, we take an obscure line or quote out of a movie, one that's either near or dear, or one that we just happen to pick at random, because we can. You can't stop us. And we throw it out there. We want you to guess what movie it is from. We want you to kind of dig and expand your movie knowledge. You might know some of these. If you do, awesome. Please let us know in the comments section what the film title is, what it was. And as we get more people participating in this, we'll give you the chance to tell us a film that you want a movie quote from to come from that. So, Benjamin, what is our movie quote of the day?
Alright, this film is from 2014. It's from 2004. It was a very recent movie quote of the day. So chances are somebody might have seen it. No, this is from 2004. And it goes a little something like this. And then you just took it, without even waiting for an answer. It was so intimate, like we were already lovers. That's your movie quote of the day.
Okay, folks, that's the movie quote of the day. Again, if you know the name of the movie, the title, and or the character, which would be awesome, please leave it in the comments section. This has been a CineMunn Podcast. I've been joined tonight by Benjamin Briggs.
G'day.
I'm your host, Vince Munn. Please follow us on Twitter at CineMunn. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe to our page, and let us know in the comments. And we'll be back Wednesday with a full review of the Ant-Man trailer. Thank you for joining us. We'll hear you next time.